Hello and welcome. Good evening. Sorry I'm late. It's been a long day and I'm glad to be here with you. My name's Robert Love. I'm a neuroscientist. I specialize in helping people prevent Alzheimer's disease with science. Welcome. It's great to have you. My voice is a little rough. I just did a masterclass today, pretty much all day. I was on camera for about 5 hours. And so I'm going to do my best to talk with you and answer your questions. And also, I'm probably going to let some other people join me so I can listen to your questions and talk to you directly. That was really fun last night. So welcome. Thank you for joining. Great to have you. Please post your first name and where you're from. I'd like to see who's here and where you're from. This is a new dessert I just made. It's so darn good. I'll tell you what it is in a few minutes. Welcome. Great to have you. Tips for PMDD. What's the natural Adderall? These are great questions. Would you please, Anita, Austin, Texas. Great. Or Anita from Texas. Please put your first name and where you're from. Brooke from Wisconsin. Boston. Good evening. Kat from Colorado. Hey, Kat. California. Jack from California. Please put your first name and where you're from. Love to see where people are from. This is just lots of fun. Alexa, Georgia. Awesome. Ginger, Chicago. Anne-Marie, Austin. Callie, North Carolina. Cecilia from San Diego, Texas. Cindy from Nebraska. Dubai, cool. Shelly, Texas. Mexico. Utah. Jamaica. Heather from Connecticut, Kentucky. Miles from Alaska. Tennessee here. Alabama. Kentucky, LA. First name, please. I'd love to see your first names where you're from. Renee, Pennsylvania. Helena, Montana. Tricia from Ohio. Linda from Florida. Afghanistan. Cool. I love when people are from Afghanistan. This is really neat. From the Philippines. Milton from Auburn, Maine. Person from Afghanistan. I'd love to see your name. Ludmila. Hi, Ludmila. I know Ludmila from Canada. Roberta from North Carolina. Ben from North Carolina. Kat from Colorado. Dude can't say Helena. Helena. There you go. Donna, Kosovo. Erica from California. Canada. Allie from Florida. This is great. Welcome. Michelle from Kentucky. Jessica from Georgetown. Sancho from the Philippines. Portugal. Colorado. OH, an inclusive dude. No. What's for dinner? I will tell you in a moment. Chicago. Welcome. You are here because you care about your brain health, you care about your physical health, and you want to learn about science. I'm glad to be here with you. Let me finish chewing. I'll be right with you. You can't stand my chomping? Well, this is during my dinner time, so I'll try to limit it as much as I can. And if this is not the right live for you, I understand. If my chomping is unbearable, put that in the chat, and I'll just do a quicker live so I can get back to this. So let me know that. So my name's Robert Love. I'm a neuroscientist. I specialize in helping people prevent Alzheimer's disease with science. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. Please check with a competent medical professional before doing anything that affects your health. And so I'm here to give you some really valuable information that you can use to live a happier, healthier life. So the first thing is my voice is a little bit tired. I recorded a masterclass today in a studio, and it's going to be released in a couple months, and you're going to get access to that for free. Really happy to give that to you. And so my voice is a little tired, so I'm going to try to do a live for maybe 30 minutes, an hour, and we'll see how it goes. So I'd love to answer your questions. Please put your questions in the chat, and I'd love for them to be about the brain, specifically ADHD or Alzheimer's disease. What tips do I have for combat anxiety? I was just watching Apocalypse Now. So I've been watching all of the Francis Ford Coppola movies. I watched Patton, and then Godfather, and then The Conversation, and then Godfather 2. Now I'm watching Apocalypse Now, and it's shockingly interesting. So anxiety is a real deal. A friend of mine, his name's Warren. He's a veteran. He helps people with PTSD. So if you need PTSD, I'm not your person. I'm happy to refer you to somebody. So put your questions in the chat and let's see what's there. First, what's for dinner? This is my dessert. This is delicious, healthy dessert. Write this down. This is sweet potato. It's the skins. So I bake the sweet potato, take off the skins, and then I heat up some coconut oil, and then either some maple syrup or some allulose syrup, and then I put this in it. So this is warm. It's kind of like it's potato skins, sweet potato skins specifically. Avoid potatoes. Potatoes are really bad for your insulin levels. It spikes your insulin really hard. So this is sweet potato with maple syrup and coconut oil with a little bit of salt. This is my new favorite salt. This is great fun. It's called Palm Island Premium. Look at this. It's black salt from Black Sea lava. Isn't that cool? Okay, so people are asking where to buy oxiracetam and aniracetam. So if you sign up for my Patreon, I share with you where to buy it, hoping that it wouldn't run out. And I did this just yesterday, and the place that I get it already ran out. Someone else, I shared what kind of fish oil I buy. I've shared this on a number of different videos. I've been told you can't buy this on Amazon anymore, that they're sold out. I shared the matcha earlier today. Someone said they're already sold out. So this is a problem. When I share things, when I share what I buy, what I found, what works for me, things are getting sold out. So I'm a little reluctant to share brands right now because they're going to go. This is one of my favorite brands of MCT oil. I will share this with you. I've shared this a number of times. I like this company. It's Nature's Way Organic MCT oil. I've gotten this on auto delivery from Amazon for a long while now. I've tried a number of different MCT oils. This one's great. MCT oil I use. I could have used it in this if I wanted to instead of coconut oil. MCT oil is great for the brain. It increases energy available for the brain. It's great in coffee. It's good in tea. I like it in my matcha. So hopefully you can still buy this. If they're sold out, please let me know. I'm really sorry about that. So let me see your questions. I know stock up first. Yeah, so buy like 10 of everything before I tell you what it is. That's a good idea. So I've just seen a ton of questions right now. I haven't had a chance to read them. I really appreciate you posting them. Here's what I'd like. Please post your questions about ADHD or Alzheimer's disease. I'll offer you a couple, then tell me what you want, and then I'll answer that. I see some omega-3 questions. CTE, I don't know what that means. Please don't use abbreviations. There's so many abbreviations that I'm seeing. Some of them I don't understand. Diet for multiple sclerosis. Oh, and if you'd add your first name to your question, I'd like to read who submitted the question. Kombucha. Can I not chew that hard? Yeah, sorry about that. So let me put this down. I'm getting some complaints about the food, so I'll have to do a shorter one. Brain damage and concussion is CTE. No, I know that is TBI, traumatic brain injury. If CTE is something else. CTE is brain damage typical to football players. My understanding that's still TBI. Is that not TBI? Thyroid problems. I know a little bit about thyroid problems. That's not, my expertise is more in the brain. I know the thyroid because hormones affect the brain. Resveratrol, I can answer that one really quickly. So resveratrol, I take 1,000 milligrams every other day. The brand I use is Tonic, Toniq. Maybe buy a bunch of it now. You want to make sure that it tastes like burnt popcorn. So if you order resveratrol, open it up, taste it. You want to take it with fat. Resveratrol is hard to absorb. Take that with fat. Working out and fasting, how? So interestingly, today I was recording a masterclass, and I knew it was going to take all my energy, all my focus, or to the best of my ability. And so I went there. I did not eat. I had celery juice early in the morning. I did not have coffee because I didn't want to get jittery. And then I recorded about 3 hours. I took some aniracetam, some alpha GPC, a B complex vitamin, some of this, and then I recorded another 2 or 3 hours. I didn't eat. It allowed me to have focus and attention. I actually had more energy than the people doing the filming. So the people behind the camera doing the sound, there was a team of 2. They're great. They've even done work for the Stanley Cup. So I live in Colorado. The Stanley Cup was in Colorado, so they did some work for it. So really, really great team. They had to take more breaks than I did because I was fasting and I was just dialed in. I was supercharged with the content. So if you want to have better energy, better focus, intermittent fasting, super duper helpful, especially for these long days. I know if I would have eaten something, but my blood would have gone to my stomach for digestion. By the way, digestion is one of the most energy intensive things that we do. Digestion is really expensive as far as energy. It takes a lot of energy to get energy out of the food. I knew I didn't want to spend that, so I just fasted pretty much until I got back tonight around 7. And then I ate, guess what I ate? Salad, sardines, And now that this healthy food, and I ate some chocolate, that was really helpful. So that's how to use fasting for optimal health. It was also time saver because they didn't have to take an hour or half an hour to eat. Supplements to avoid with Lewy body dementia. Joe, would be really good to ask this is Max Lugavere. Max Lugavere, his mother had Lewy body dementia, and that's how he got into this field. He wanted to learn about it, so he would know that better than I would. And I like Max. I think he does good work. Did paper planes exist before airplanes? I don't know. That's brilliant. Do you know who invented the airplane? Well, who invented the helicopter? Any guesses? Who invented the helicopter? If you got a guess about who invented the helicopter, put it in there. Someone bought sardines at Costco. That's what I'm talking about. Smart move. I hope you bought a lot. Who invented the helicopter? Who's got this one? Recommendations for Meniere's disease. I think I read B vitamins are helpful with Meniere's disease. I got sea moss capsules. Any guesses about who invented the helicopter? Does anyone want to play? Reversing inflammation in the brain. I got some things for that. GABA or phenibut. Those are a little bit on the dangerous side. I take phenibut very, very rarely. He's not a neuroscientist. I believe I am. Michelangelo. Michelangelo, you're really close. If you want to learn about my experience, my history, my education, go to bettermemorysystem.com/research. Scroll down to the bottom. You can read all about my history. You can read where I went to college, where I went to grad school, who I studied with, what my thesis is on. Check that out. bettermemorysystem.com/research. DaVinci, yes. Visnook, you got it. DaVinci drew a picture of a helicopter in his notebooks. He also, this is really interesting. This kind of upsets doctors. Leonardo da Vinci had a better model of a heart than we do in most medical textbooks. Better than, what's the book on anatomy? Gray's Anatomy. By the way, Gray, he partnered with another person to do Gray's Anatomy, and Gray tried to steal, I forget what his first name is, he tried to steal all the credit. He died shortly after the publication. So his being a jerk with his partner who did the photography for Gray's Anatomy, he did the drawings, He did a bunch of drawings for Gray's Anatomy. He almost got zero credit for the book. It was the medical textbook for anatomy for a really long time. And Gray put his name on the cover. He's like, Gray's Anatomy, barely cited the work of this person who did the drawings, did a really great job. And Gray died early. The artist, he lived for like another 30 years. So that was the revenge. Or not the revenge, that was the karma. So Leonardo da Vinci put the helicopter in there. So did paper planes exist before actual planes? Fascinating. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I don't know how we would know the answer. I don't know if someone folded up something to throw and have it fly before we saw planes. So someone asked about inflammation and the brain. That's a really general question. I think it's really important to cover. So there are 6 types of Alzheimer's disease. I'm going to tell them to you. This is really important if you want to protect your brain as you age. So it spells MCT. So MCT, think MCT and then NII, N-I-I. So N stands for nutrition. A lack of nutrition can increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Think of choline. If you don't have enough acetylcholine in the brain, that increases the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Pardon me. So nutrition. Then I, inflammation. Inflammation is one of the biggest causes of Alzheimer's disease. When you look at these longitudinal studies, people are measured for decades. And what we find is that your inflammation levels at age 40 predict your risk of Alzheimer's disease at age 70. Inflammation predicts disease 30 years later. That's gosh darn amazing. So what to do with that? Number one, maybe get your inflammation levels checked to see if you're at risk for future disease. And 2, do things to reduce your inflammation. Some things you can do. So first, you want to get a couple inflammatory markers measured. You can use these words. These will really impress your doctor. C-reactive protein, CRP, IL-6, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. Those are 3 major markers of inflammation that you can measure that can tell you your basically levels of inflammation in your body, and that can help predict your risk of future disease, specifically Alzheimer's disease. Does that make sense? Awesome. Let me know if that didn't make sense. So measure your levels of inflammation, and you can get this with a routine blood test. And then you want to reduce your levels of inflammation. This means stopping eating inflammatory foods. So I could have made this dessert with potato skins, and let's say refined sugar, and then a bad fat. So let's say canola oil. All of that would be inflammatory. Canola oil, rich in omega-6s, that causes inflammation, that increases the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Refined sugar, extremely inflammatory. Not only that, it also impairs the immune system. So you're hurting your brain, you're hurting your overall body health, and you're hurting your immune system with sugar. Really bad idea. Also highly addictive. Who's tried to give up sugar? Really started. Oh, someone just started choline. Who is that? Great job, Mindy. Let's give a hand for Mindy. She just started choline. How much it helps you. Great job. Congratulations. I love it. It warms my heart when someone tells me, hey, that thing you told me, I've been doing it and it works a big deal. What the heck is canola anyway? It's also known as rapeseed oil. They changed it to canola oil, which means Canada oil. So good idea rebranding. So rapeseed oil, canola oil, highly inflammatory, not a good idea to use. I've heard rumors that it's actually used as a lubricant in Canada, that you can't buy it as food. I don't know that to be true. I looked for that. I didn't see that. So I'm not sharing that to you as fact. That's not a scientific fact. That's just something I heard about canola oil that's that bad for you and that Canadians don't eat it. I don't know if that's true. If you know someone from Canada, hit them up and ask them. I know a friend from Canada. I'm gonna ask her what the deal is with canola oil in their country. Okay, so foods that are inflammatory, think foods that spike your insulin, think sugar, think bad oils. Those are two big things. And then think lectins. What are lectins? Lectins are plant defenses. Plants often don't want us to eat them. And so plants have these defense mechanisms that cause inflammation in our bodies. The thing is, we don't notice it because we eat such an inflammatory diet already that we don't notice it. When I first gave up gluten, let's say for 60 days, and then I had a cookie that had gluten in it and sugar in it. The next day, I had a canker sore. I'd give up gluten for longer than that, but I'm just using this as an example. I had a canker sore. My body told me, hey, don't eat that. That's bad news. We don't like that. And so when you clean out your body of the inflammatory food, and then you have something that causes inflammation, you really notice it. That would be enough for me to say, you know what? I'm not going to eat that food that we found. A cow is supposed to eat what? Grass. What do we feed cows that we eat? We feed them fattening foods like grain and soy. In fact, these cows would naturally not eat these foods. We have to give them antacids. We have to give them Tums to prevent them from getting stomach aches so they'll continue to eat the fattening food. Isn't that fascinating? I learned that from Bill Bryson in his book, The Body. Great book. So cows aren't supposed to eat soy and wheat, and neither are we. If we totally cleaned out our bodies and we just happened to run across wheat in the field and ate wheat, we'd be like, oh my gosh, this is causing me, I don't feel good. And we'd stop eating it. We wouldn't share it with our tribe. So when you clean out your body from inflammation, from the unhealthy foods, also when you reduce stress, also alcohol is associated with inflammation. Sorry to tell you, I really enjoy alcohol. I don't have it anymore, but when I have it, it feels really good. I drank way too much in college, and it was a bad thing for me. I'm really grateful that I didn't hurt myself. I've lost a couple of friends to alcohol and accidents. But alcohol, even just one drink a day, that decreases activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in executive function. This is like self-awareness. So anyone notice that when you have a drink, you just become more talkative, less concerned about what other people think? It's because your self-monitoring goes away. So that's really good. Or excuse me, that's not really good. That's the impact of alcohol. You don't want to train your brain to turn itself off. Also, alcohol causes, it's bad for gut bacteria. We want healthy gut bacteria. What's good for your gut is good for your brain. Say it with me. What's good for my gut is good for my brain. And if you drink alcohol, that can be bad for your brain. Something else is that it also, as you can guess, it's not good for the liver, also hurts the gut-brain connection, impairs memory, impairs sleep, all kinds of problems with alcohol. Even just one drink can impair sleep and impair memory. Now, it's not like blacking out. By the way, if you have friends, or children that are in college, tell them this. If you black out 2 times a year, that increases your risk of Alzheimer's disease significantly. I definitely blacked out more than 2 times a year when I was in college. If I had known that increased my risk of Alzheimer's disease, I would not have done that. I would have turned down a lot of alcohol. I would have said, you know what? I'm not doing it. You know what? I'm just going to have this beer. I'm not going to do those 3 shots. I don't want to black out. I don't want to get Alzheimer's disease. I would have said that. Dude rambles too much. Sorry, electric stove. I'm trying my best to make this interesting and share the science. So please tell people that you know who are in college, who are likely to drink a lot, do not drink to the point of blacking out. That impairs your memory and it increases your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Someone mentioned Andrew Huberman. That's where I learned this. The Andrew Huberman podcast or the Huberman Lab. It's great. Here for rambling. Great. Thank you. You're doing great. Thank you. I so appreciate that. So that's about inflammation. Oh, by the way, the other 6 types of Alzheimer's disease. We got nutrition, we got inflammation, we got insulin insensitivity, type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes significantly increases your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Why? It means insulin's not working well in your body. That means when you eat sugar, the insulin response isn't working effectively, which means your energy cycle isn't working effectively. And that means your brain isn't going to get effective energy. That's a big darn deal. So insulin resistance, that is related to Alzheimer's disease. That's very significantly shown. Interesting side note, people have asked me about metformin. Metformin is really important. Dr. David Sinclair talks about metformin. It's a type 2 diabetes medication. He takes it for longevity. I take it for longevity. Metformin stresses the mitochondria, and so you create healthier mitochondria. This idea is called hormesis, which is like a healthy stress. Intermittent fasting is a healthy stress. By denying myself food, it stresses my body a little bit and it turns up my attention because I'm kind of looking for food. I'm looking to be productive. If I've eaten a bunch of food, what happens to my attention? Well, number 1, it's decreased because I've eaten a lot of food and blood's going here. 2, I'm totally satisfied. My brain's like, hey, we're good. We're on the beach. It's safe. Neighboring tribes aren't trying to kill me. We just have a ton of food. Everything's good. I can relax. So mild stress, really helpful. So that's what metformin does. It also reduces blood sugar by increasing the uptake of sugar by the cells. So metformin is shown to be really helpful in preventing Alzheimer's disease. This is a writer downer. I love you too, John. So please write this down and then maybe take this to your medical doctor. Though this is the study. This has been repeated in a number of different studies. You have people type 2 diabetes on metformin, healthy people, same study. People without type 2 diabetes. The people who take metformin and have type 2 diabetes, they live longer and have less decreased likelihood of Alzheimer's disease compared to the non-type 2 diabetic. So if you want to live longer and healthier, it is better to be type 2 diabetic and take metformin than it is to not have type 2 diabetes. That's how helpful metformin is. When I took this to my doctor, they said, yes, you're right. Metformin increases lifespan and prevents Alzheimer's disease or helps prevent Alzheimer's disease in those with type 2 diabetes. We don't know that for those without type 2 diabetes. I said, listen, there's clearly something about this thing because maybe you should be counseling people to get type 2 diabetes so you can give them the medication. Those people live longer and are less likely to get Alzheimer's disease. This is the winning side of this, whether you have type 2 diabetes or not. This group wins. So metformin deserves serious consideration. It does have side effects. You don't want to fast with metformin. Metformin actually works best when you take it with food because it helps reduce blood sugar. Metformin reduces blood sugar on average about 15%. Interestingly, walking for 10 minutes after a meal reduces post-meal blood sugar, also called postprandial blood sugar. If you read any of these papers, it's called postprandial blood sugar, reduces it by 30%. So walking 10 minutes is twice as effective in reducing blood sugar as metformin, the number 1 type 2 diabetes medication. Fascinating. So I highly recommend going for a walk after meals. It does 2 things. Number 1, it does a variety of things. Number 1, it improves digestion. By walking, this improves digestion, helps the food process better. That's really good. 2, it prevents fatigue after a meal. Who's felt slow and tired after eating? Used to happen to me a lot. Now when I'll either walk or I'll do like high knees to get my body moving to reduce the fatigue after eating. And then number 3, it reduces post-meal glucose. Reducing post-meal glucose is a real big deal. It promotes longevity, really valuable. Hi, Robert. Hi, good to see you. So that's about metformin. And so those are 3 types. Those are 3 of the 6 types: nutrition, inflammation, insulin insensitivity, or diabetes. Then we got MCT, heavy metals, M for metals. C stands for cardiovascular, and T, traumatic brain injury, TBI. So all of those are associated with increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. Heavy metals, heavy metal detox. We've talked about this. We've talked about this a fair amount. Heavy metals can cause inflammation. They can be neurotoxic. They can damage neurons, impair memory, and can significantly increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. What to do about heavy metals? Number 1, prevent them. Don't let them in. Eat organic food. Don't eat food with Roundup or glyphosate. Glyphosate is It's a neurotoxin. It's associated with cancer. My guess is in the future, it will likely be associated with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and other neurodegenerative diseases. We don't know yet because it hasn't been long enough. In 10 or 20 years, we might have more people over age 50 who are exposed to glyphosate. Then we will know its impact, but I would really stay away from glyphosate and pesticides and fertilizers. We don't want to eat those. And the thing is, glyphosate, these pesticides, people will say, oh, well, the soybean, it's been genetically modified to not die from glyphosate, so it's okay to eat it. No, that's not what it means. It means that plant has sucked up glyphosate, and that glyphosate, that pesticide, that herbicide, that toxin is actually in the flesh of the plant. And when you eat that plant, it's going to get in your body, in your flesh, in your brain. So just because the glyphosate doesn't kill the genetically modified soy does not mean that it's not going to kill you. It's still in the soy. You're not genetically modified to be resistant to glyphosate. In fact, we are very sensitive to glyphosate. Even a small amount can be very, very dangerous. And so we don't want to eat foods that are not certified organic, even though certified organic is not perfect by any means. I'm not going to say it is, but it's our best shot right now, aside from having your own garden. That might be the best. Dave Asprey has his own farm. He grows his own, I don't know if he grows his own cows, but he does grow his own pigs. I had a pig at my old house. I lived at a farm. His name was Tony. His name still is Tony. He's great. Pigs have a lot of personality. If you haven't had them as pets, they're like stubborn. They're a pain in the ass, but they're really fun pets. So you can grow your own food. That's a way to ensure that you don't get pesticides and herbicides. So preventing heavy metals. Number one, eat organic foods. And number two, also consider your air quality. Live in a place that is not not polluted. If you have to live there, get a HEPA filter. You can buy these online. HEPA filters, for some of my clients, I put them in their office where they spend the most time, and in the bedroom where they sleep. You want to breathe clean air. Very, very important. And then you can do a heavy metal detox. 2 ways to do a heavy metal detox. 1, you can do a heavy metal detox smoothie. Check out the medical medium. Very helpful. Yes, you always recommend check with your medical doctor. Metformin is not for everyone. Totally agree. Metformin has some side effects. First, it upset my stomach for about a week. I didn't feel good, but after a while, it got less. And check with your medical doctor. It's by prescription. So metformin is a prescription drug for type 2 diabetes. It's used by some people like Dr. David Sinclair and myself for longevity, but you have to check with your medical doctor because it's a prescription drug, or prescription drug, excuse me. And so heavy metals, we got the medical medium, heavy metal detox. Tony Robbins shared that. And then you can also do a glutathione cleanse. Dr. Dale Bredesen talks about the glutathione cleanse. This woman came in, she tested high for heavy metals, real big problems with her memory, had mild cognitive impairment, early stage Alzheimer's disease, gave her a glutathione cleanse. Glutathione is one of the master antioxidants in your body. And so he hooked him up, and you can do this. You can go to a medical practitioner, get an IV of glutathione. This basically helps detox your body, specifically of heavy metals and other toxin. Big deal. This woman's memory immediately improved. Her husband noticed a difference. He noticed a difference. Now, it did slide back. She got glutathione cleanses twice a week for 3 years. I think it was at least 6 weeks, and it really made a big difference. So if you can afford it, you can get a glutathione cleanse. Go to a medical practitioner, have them hook you up. It'd probably be a really good idea. You can also get tested for heavy metals if that's a concern for you. So the 6 types of Alzheimer's we got, just to review. I want to make sure that you know these so that way you can start changing your behavior, or we'll say evolving your behavior or optimizing your behavior to protect your brain and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. We got NII, MCT. So N, nutrition. I, inflammation. I, insulin, insensitivity, or type 2 diabetes. Next, MCT. We got heavy metals. And then we got cardiovascular and traumatic brain injury. Cardiovascular, you probably heard of the Viagra study. This came out at the end of 2021 in December. I was sitting at the Christmas dinner table with my parents and my brother-in-law and their family, my sister, and my brother-in-law said, hey, did you hear about the Viagra study? Viagra prevents Alzheimer's disease. And so here's what they did. It was a large study by an insurance company. I think it had 6 million people in it. Very large study. And what they found was that those who take Viagra had a 69% decrease in the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Now, when I read the articles about it, it said about 70%. Then I read the abstract of the research, it's 69%. So it's really, really funny and comical. It's, I don't know if you believe in God or the universe or spirit, but someone's laughing about that Viagra reduces the risk of Alzheimer's by 69%. It's just very, very comical and memorable. So now you know. So what does Viagra do? Viagra works on a pathway in the body called the nitric oxide pathway. What does nitric oxide do? It dilates our blood vessels. So imagine this is a blood vessel. Coffee or a vasoconstrictor will constrict blood vessels, and that increases blood pressure. A vasodilator will increase this. What's another vasodilator? Exercise is a vasodilator that reduces blood pressure. Notice your blood pressure is low after exercise because your blood vessels are relaxed. They're dilated. Another vasodilator is sauna or hot tub. That's really good. Sauna's shown sauna 4 to 7 times a week. This is from a Finnish study, and Dr. Randra Patrick talks about this a lot. It's hot tub or sauna 4 times a week. Well, this study looked at sauna 4 times a week for 20 minutes, reduces the risk of Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and heart disease by approximately 50%. Some of them are even higher, like stroke might be 60%. So cardiovascular. So you want to do things to improve your cardiovascular health. Viagra could be helpful. Why would Viagra help with brain health? Why would Viagra reduce Alzheimer's disease risk? Because it gets more blood and oxygen to your brain. That's a really darn big deal. That gets more nutrients to your brain. Next, so that's cardiovascular. So do things that help your cardiovascular health. This means exercise. This means sleep. This means a good diet. This means doing things that reduce stress. This means hugs. If hugs are a tremendous way of reducing stress and increasing something called oxytocin. Oxytocin. Who knows about oxytocin? I will talk about smoking for sure. Oxytocin, great hormone. It's the bonding hormone. So we secrete oxytocin when we dream. I believe when we dream, and when we get hugs, and when we have loving touch. It could be sex. It could be hugs. It could just be in the presence of love around us. I do. Excellent. Great. So oxytocin, really darn big deal. If you hug someone for 30 seconds, you can hug someone and take 2 deep breaths together. That will often release oxytocin if this is somebody you love and trust. If it's someone you don't trust, it's unlikely to release oxytocin. But if you hug someone for 30 seconds and or breathe deeply, it increases trust and releases oxytocin. This reduces stress, really good for your heart. Free drugs. Seriously, hugs are totally free drugs. Another example of free drugs is wild-caught salmon. I told this story yesterday. My brother-in-law got a big wild-caught salmon for Christmas. My mother and I chopped it up. I grabbed a little piece. I ate it, and I had to sit down on the floor. I was flooded with that feel-good feeling. My body and brain knew this was really intense nutrition, this wild-caught salmon that was flown on ice, fresh from somewhere. And I was altered. It was like a drug. I felt like I was just flooded with oxytocin. My body and brain said, yes, more of that. So good. And so hugs, free drugs. I mean, give people you love hugs. I think some study I read said we need, on average, 7 30-second hugs a day. That's a lot. I usually don't get that. When I do, I feel tremendous those days. And frankly, this is my own fault. I've been a little shy in asking those I live with, hey, could we do like 5 great hugs a day, and then someone else in the house, could we do 2 great hugs a day? And just doing that as a way of life, that would have been a really good idea. I also haven't asked my romantic partners, hey, when I see you, can we just do like 5 long hugs and just release a ton of oxytocin? Because why not? It's free medicine. So I haven't asked that of either romantic partners or of friends or of my housemates, but that would be a really good idea. Oh, thank you, Vegas Blue. I would love to hug you. Thank you so much. So if you're in a relationship, if you live with people, let them know about this research. 7 30-second hugs a day. You will totally feel different. I challenge you. This is your homework. If you want to play, your last hug was 14 years ago. Oh, I'm so sorry, Girl Social. So try to get 7 30-second hugs today, tomorrow, and then come back and let me know how that affected things. It's amazing. It just transforms things. And if we make that a regular thing, that can greatly improve heart health, reduce stress, and also improve the quality of life. Who wants more hugs? Yeah, big deal. So good. Is this freezing for people? I'm getting notice that it's freezing. It looks like it's been streaming pretty well on my end. I don't know. It looks like I have a strong internet connection. 7 is a lot. And once you get 7, you're like, man, this is a great day. I'm going to do that. Great. Minnie, tell me how it goes tomorrow. Please, please, please. Going to love Home Depot. All right. So we got the types of Alzheimer's disease, MCT, heavy metals, cardiovascular, last traumatic brain injury. We've talked about traumatic brain injury a fair amount. I've had two friends. One of them's a close friend. One of them is just a friend. And they both had car accidents. One had a motorcycle accident. One had a car accident, smacked their head. And I've gotten both of them on oxiracetam. Oxiracetam, spelled Oxiracetam. It is freezing. I wonder why. We have a lot of people on here. We got 450 people. It says I have full bars. I assume TikTok's giving us their best stuff. Can I reconnect? I'm going to keep going. I think this is still working. If it gets really bad, please let me know and I'll restart. But the problem is it'll take like 10 minutes for people to get back on. So I can do that. You're good, bro. Thank you. So please make sure that you're in a good connection. It looks like I have full bars, and I'm sorry if this connection isn't coming through. I know that's really annoying when you're watching something, you're trying to listen, and you miss bits. So I understand. I'm sorry about that. So we were talking about traumatic brain injury. So here's some supplements for traumatic brain injury. We got oxiracetam. I'd recommend that the most. That's shown in mice to really help with recovery after stroke and after TBI. We also have, I'd also take alpha GPC because that's an acetylcholine precursor. Oxiracetam works on acetylcholine, so I'd take those two together. Also, as you can guess, B vitamin and fish oil. If I could say one message to the whole world about Alzheimer's disease, it might just simply be B complex and fish oil. Research from Dr. David Smith at Oxford. He found through his research, taking a B complex and a fish oil supplement every day reduces the risk of Alzheimer's by 30%. That's amazing. There's no drug that Big Pharma is working on right now that has a shot, that has a chance. I'm reluctant to say that because I don't know, because I'm not looking at the research. My best guess is that based upon the last 20 years of ineffective Alzheimer's research, there's an extremely low chance that Big Pharma has a shot of doing anything that could prevent Alzheimer's disease or reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease by 30%. Very, very unlikely they're working on that. This is so true that the newest Alzheimer's drug news said we found something that just slows down the progression. It doesn't even stop the progression. So let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, someone's memory loss is a 6 and it's going down at a speed of a 6. Right? So they just turn it to a speed of a 5 or speed of a 4. It slows down the deterioration. That's the best Big Pharma has right now. That's amazing. They're not going to beat fish oil and B complex for a long, long time. So if I could give you one message, that. And so that for traumatic brain injury as well. Why? Our brains are made of fat. Your brain is made of fat. I'm watching this documentary. It's called The Ideal Human Diet or something like that. I think it's on YouTube. It's free. It's really good. And they're talking with this evolutionary nutritionist. He's from the University of Colorado. He's from Colorado State, down south of here. And what he shared was that for most of human history, we've been hunter-gatherers, as you can guess. It's only the last 10,000 years that we've been eating grains and drinking milk. So our systems aren't used to that. Human beings have really existed on planet Earth as Homo erectus for about 2 million years. So 2 million years, we are eating meat and we're eating wild-caught plants and nuts and fish. Only 10,000 years, we're eating grains and milk. And only for the last 200 years, we're eating processed foods. So the processed foods on the shelves, I don't have any, but I would read some to you. The ingredients in the processed foods: high fructose corn syrup. You're talking about the refined wheats and all the processed foods, the binders. I have some friends in the food industry. They said they were trying to take their food to this food processing company, and they were talking about all these additives, all these emulsifiers, all these things. Our bodies are not used to eating these things. These are very, very new. And so what this nutritional anthropologist or this evolutionary nutritionist, what he shared was that increasing the amount of meat we ate increased the amount of omega-3s, and it is believed that this helped us grow our brains. Let me say that again. Meat has omega-3s in it, as do fish. Increasing the amount of omega-3s we ate gave us the healthy fats we needed to grow bigger brains. Really, really cool. So Isn't that interesting? I got a great question. So why are we living longer? Great question. I love your skepticism. That's a great scientific mind. We're living longer because of technology. Look at the technology we have. I can go to the hospital. I can get my blood tested. They can tell me my levels of inflammation. They can do a mouth swab, tell me if I have a certain bacteria in my mouth. If I have a sore throat, they can tell me if I have strep throat. And then I can go to a local store and get a pill that's going to kill that strep throat. That's gosh darn amazing. I mean, current medical science is a miracle. You can tell me if I have this disease, you can give me a pill for it, and I'll get better. And it used to be really dangerous. Pneumonia used to kill so many people. Infectious disease used to kill so many people. If you look at Bill Bryson's book, The Body, what kills us has changed. It used to be infectious diseases. Pneumonia was number one. Pneumonia was one of the big ones. I don't remember what they all were. Now what kills us? What's the biggest killer now? Drop in the chat. Name some of the big killers. I'm going to have a bite of this food. Please don't listen to me chew. What are the biggest killers today? They used to be infectious disease. 100, 200 years ago, it was infectious disease was killing us. What are the biggest killers today? The FDA. That's interesting. Cancer, COVID, cancer. Heart disease, stress, cancer, smoking, cancer, chemicals, COVID, polio. Polio's gone. We've taken care of polio with the polio vaccine. It's been very successful. Cancer, fentanyl. Goodness, isn't that sad? Our foods. Sugar and alcohol, high blood pressure, processed foods, cars. Oh no, you're chewing. Yeah, pardon me. Alcohol, obesity. Great answers. The number one killer of Americans specifically is heart disease. What is heart disease? It is a preventable disease caused by overnutrition. Back to Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci did dissections. It was illegal at the time. He had to do it underground. If they caught him, he would have been thrown in jail. He was also accused of sodomy, of having sex with another man. He was almost killed for that. One of his patrons had to save him. Goodness gracious. Can you imagine the loss to humanity if Leonardo da Vinci had been killed in his 20s and 30s? Good gracious. Leonardo da Vinci was doing dissections, and he found someone who died of a heart attack. And he took out their heart and looked at it and looked at their blood vessels. And he said they were clogged up with a bunch of gunk. And he said, this person died from overnutrition. He writes this in his journals. And he's got this diagram. He's got diagrams of the heart. Amazing. He knew back then heart attacks were associated with overnutrition, overeating, too much food. Amazing. Today, what are we dying of in the United States? Preventable diseases. Heart disease is number one. And then some of the other bigger killers are cancer and Alzheimer's disease. Those are the big three. And then insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes is a major contributor as well. But the big three killers, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, or dementia. Those are the three big killers. You want to avoid those at all costs if you want to live. So heart disease is what's killing us. That's what's killing us today. So why are we living longer? We're living longer because of technology, because someone actually read Leonardo da Vinci's notebook and said, hey, heart diagram of the heart. This is interesting. Helicopter. This is interesting. He also designed a scuba suit, by the way, but he destroyed it because he thought it would be used in naval warfare to destroy a bunch of ships. So he didn't want to deal with it. So he was really scared that people would use the scuba suit for warfare. He also invented a parachute, by the way, that worked. They actually made it. My internet is killing you. How is that so? I have such a strong connection. I'd really recommend checking your internet. And I do my lives from here most days. And this is the first time I've ever heard that I'm glitchy. So please check your own internet. And I'm really sorry that you're having issues. I'm sorry for that. It makes it much less enjoyable. So our food is really what's associated with this, right? Our food. And so it's really important to pay attention to our food. Again, we want the organic fruits, the organic vegetables. We want to avoid the foods that we just start eating. That's the grains. And I would say that's the sugar, that's the milk. Max Lugavere, he made a comment on a video. He disagrees with me about the milk. That's okay. About 50% of Americans are lactose intolerant, so we don't want to drink milk anyway. And milk is not, we're not used to that in our evolution. It's only pretty recently. So if you want to check out this documentary, it's really cool. It is called, I think it's called The Ideal Human Diet. It's really well done. It's really interesting. It's available to you for free. What do you mean by grains? What do I mean by grains? So I want to specify here. In the United States, we allow companies to basically make really unhealthy food and then sell it to us without a warning. So a great example is Coca-Cola. So I looked at a Coca-Cola from the United States and one from Mexico. Which one's healthier? The one from Mexico. Why? Because it has cane sugar. This one has high fructose corn syrup. The United States FDA allows Coca-Cola, an American company, to make an unhealthy version of their drink, whereas Mexico doesn't. Mexico doesn't allow high fructose corn syrup, so the Mexican Coke is safer, is healthier. Amazing. So let's apply this logic to other foods. Let's apply it to grains. In the United States, our gluten, our wheat is the worst. A lot of it's genetically modified. A lot of it is, it's made even more glutinous. It's made even worse for us. If you go to an ancient heirloom grain, that's probably better. If you go to Europe, Europe's got much better food policy than us. There's something like, I think there's 20 food additives that they allow in Europe that we don't allow, that they don't allow in Europe that we allow here in the United States. That's a little scary. No, I can't remember that. I'll look that up tomorrow. There's something that happened in 2000 here's what it was. In 2000, the European Union said that you can't give antibiotics to cattle, to livestock, to fatten them up. That was the rule. You can still do that in the United States. This is dangerous. Dr. Stephen Gundry talks about this. Bill Bryson talks about this. This is a real big problem. So in Europe, they said you can't give antibiotics to cattle to make them fat. Why? Because then the antibiotics are in the flesh of the beef, and then we eat the beef, and those antibiotics get into us, and it kills our healthy bacteria. That's a bad deal. You don't want that. Big problem. In the United States, we allow them to do it. We allow these food companies that are these industrial meat companies. We allow them to give antibiotics to their livestock to fatten them up, and then we eat those foods, and then that destroys our gut bacteria, and then we get unhealthy. Big problem. And so the same concept applies to our wheat. In Europe, the ancient grains and just wheat in general is much safer over there. In the United States, it's really contaminated, really scary. It's really unfortunate. So that's what I mean by grains. It's you'll look up grains. It's also corn. You want to avoid corn. Also avoid soy. Soy in the United States is genetically modified. Almost 90% of it's genetically modified, which means it's also been sprayed with Raid. We will talk about brain fog. I said it would. We're going to address that next. How about whole stone ground wheat? So let me just say this really simply. In the United States, I would really steer clear of anything wheat. I don't care how it's labeled. Really dangerous. Even if it's organic, stay away from it because it's got a lot of gluten. Most of us, or almost all of us, are slightly inflammatory to gluten. Make sense? You don't want gluten. You don't want gluten, period. In Europe, there's less gluten and the wheat is more ancient. It's less tinkered with, so it's a lot safer. Even 316 bread, I'm just going to make a blanket statement. I'm probably going to upset people. I don't care where the wheat is from. If it's grown in the United States, it's suspect to me. And if it's grown in the United States, it likely has a fair amount of gluten. If you are human, you have a gluten sensitivity. Here's what happens with gluten. When we eat gluten, we can't break down the last little bit of it. We can't break down one of the amino acids. What happens, this punches a hole into our digestive tract, in our digestive lining that's a single cell layer thick. It pokes through that. This causes a problem. So this little hole that was created by the gluten that we ate, that now allows small food particles to escape from the stomach into the bloodstream. So now you have undigested food particles that are big because they didn't go through the digestive system. These big food particles are now in the blood. This freaks out the immune system. The immune system says, why is this big chunk of protein here? Why is this big sugar here? Why is this big fat here? What the hell is going on? And this is the beginning of autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease is very common in the United States. It's something like 30% of people over age 50 will have autoimmune disease. I think that's what it is. And so gluten greatly increases the risk of autoimmune disease because it screws up the digestion. Macromolecules that aren't fully digested get into the bloodstream. The blood immune system says, this is totally messed up. This is not supposed to be here. And the body starts attacking itself. People who have autoimmune disease in the United States, it's more women than men. We don't know why. By the way, Alzheimer's is about 2/3 women, about 1/3 men. Both of them can get it. I had 2 grandfathers with dementia. One had Alzheimer's disease. One had dementia from dry cleaning chemicals. That would be in the heavy metal category from toxins. Pardon me. But women are much greater risk for Alzheimer's disease in the United States. We don't know why. We think it might be related to hormones. So menopause in women is often stronger than andropause in men. So menopause is a decrease in hormones in women. Andropause is kind of a decrease in the hormones in men. Both men and women have testosterone, and I shared with you the other night. Women actually have more testosterone than they do estrogen. They have a lot less testosterone than men, but women have more testosterone than they do estrogen. And so the decrease of estrogen and other hormones that might impair memory. Men who have low testosterone, they also have a decrease in their memory or a decrease in their cognitive functioning. So because the hormone changes are more significant in women as they age, that might be why they are at greater risk for Alzheimer's disease. And so that's a long-winded answer. Maybe that's a rambling answer to your question about what is wheat, what is this person back? Hi, Minor Major 7. You posted the same comment yesterday. Dr. IDZ is going to own you, bro. Just watch. And then some emojis. I'm happy for you to be here. I hope you're learning something. If you come onto here and post this same message again, I'm simply going to block you because it's distracting. I know you posted this a bunch of times last time. This is not helpful to people. It's fine if you disagree with me. I'm happy if you disagree with me. If you want to contribute to the conversation, please do. But Minor Major 7, if I find you, if I see you posting in my live chats again, and it's not content that's helpful, if you're just going to post this again, and I also don't understand who Dr. IDZ is and how they're going to own me. I don't know what you're talking about. So please don't post this again. If you want me to do an interview with someone, if someone wants to debate me, I would love that. I would very much welcome that. Please set it up or let me know who Dr. IDZ is and I will contact this person. But please don't post this again here. Okay? Is that fair? Thank you. Sorry, that took 30 seconds to address this because it keeps on happening. On my milk and coffee post. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. My milk and coffee post. Yeah. So milk decreases the absorption of polyphenols. That's pretty clear. And about half of Americans are lactose intolerant. So about half of us basically shouldn't be drinking milk because it's not good for us, because if we're lactose intolerant, we can't break down the lactose, which is a sugar, and lactose is galactose plus, I think it's glucose, is what lactose is in that's the sugar in milk. And so if we can't break that down, it likely causes inflammation, and it also reduces the absorption of polyphenols, not just in coffee, but also in blueberries. I read a study where milk decreases the absorption of blueberries because the proteins in milk bind to the polyphenols and reduces the absorption of them. So I drink coffee for health benefits. I also like the taste. I do now. I didn't at first. And I also like how I feel with it. Black tea is also good. Matcha is also good. But if you take it with milk, those proteins in the milk, we're talking about the casein and the whey, and there's some other proteins, those can bind to the polyphenols and reduce the absorption of those polyphenols. I want the max polyphenols from my coffee. Who's with me? Who wants maximum nutrition, maximum health from your coffee? Blow up the chat if you want that. I certainly want that. So I don't want to add milk and cream to my coffee. What do I want? So I'll add butter. I'll add grass-fed butter. I'll add ghee. I'll add MCT oil. I have no problem adding fat to my coffee and making it taste good. I'm getting some yeses here. Yes, sir. So I am here. All right. Yes! Exclamation point. Thank you, Susan. So if you want maximum health from your coffee, don't add milk to it. It could reduce the absorption of polyphenols, and it could cause inflammation. If you are 1 out of 2 of Americans, I think it's 70% of the world is lactose intolerant, but I don't know that. I just read that. I didn't read the study, but I read that as a headline. So we'll go 40% of Americans. That's an underestimate. So 40%, 4 in 10 are lactose intolerant. That means 4 out of 10 of us shouldn't be drinking milk. That's a large percentage. Plus, it reduces the absorption of polyphenols. That's not a good deal. If you want fat in your coffee, great. Add butter, add MCT oil, add grass-fed butter, all good stuff. And don't add sugar. Sugar's inflammatory. If you want the benefits of your coffee, don't add sugar. You don't want inflammation with your coffee. That defeats the purpose. Same thing with chocolate. If you have chocolate with refined sugar in it, you take away the benefits of the chocolate and you make it bad for you. Refined sugar causes inflammation, and that increases the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Plus, it's just not good for you in general, increases the risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, all kinds of crap. You don't want it, so don't add it to your coffee. Instead, add stevia, monk fruit sugar, erythritol. You could add xylitol, and there's allulose. All those would work. You'd also add maple syrup or honey. Those would be better. If you don't like the taste of stevia, try monk fruit, or do like 10 drops monk fruit, 5 drops stevia. If you do 2-to-1 monk fruit stevia, that has a great sweetness to it, and it doesn't have the stevia metallic taste to it. So that's my thought on that. And I'm happy to debate anyone on milk. I'm happy to learn. I've made mistakes in the past. Max Lugavere was right. Milk is actually anti-inflammatory for those who can digest it. That just happens to not be very many of us. Yeah, same thing with heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream still has those proteins in it. Butter, which is pure fat essentially, does not have enough proteins to inhibit the absorption of polyphenols. So it doesn't have those proteins. So that's okay. It also doesn't have much lactose. It's really just that butter fat. Okay, so that's my rant about that. You use xylitol, good. If you use too much xylitol, I've done this a couple times, disaster pants. Really rumbling in the stomach. Xylitol is a prebiotic. That means it feeds your healthy gut bacteria. If you have too much of that, the stomach gets upset, and I've definitely had to run to the bathroom. I had some on New Year's. I made this delicious. This is so good. It was a xylitol tiramisu, or as my uncle would say, tiramisu. It's an Italian kind of cake dessert. So it's got this delicious cream in it, and then it's got these like lady fingers in it, and then it's got this coffee flavor. Tiramisu, if you like tiramisu, let me know. Tiramisu is so good. I made this with xylitol instead of with regular sugar, and oh my God, I had a big piece. Oh my gosh, I was running to the bathroom on New Year's. It was not fun. So be careful with xylitol, and I like xylitol. Xylitol is really great for the teeth. Xylitol is a sugar made from birch trees. Like maple syrup is made from maple trees. This is a sugar made from birch trees. And what happens is it's really great for your teeth. And Dr. Ellie Phillips, who's a dentist, she was on my radio show when I was back in graduate school at the University of Texas at Austin. She told me about this, which was really cool. And this was like 20 years ago or 15 years ago. And so what happens is bacteria in your mouth, when they eat sugar, they secrete an acid, and that acid eats through your tooth, causes cavities. Leaky gut's really bad. Leaky gut's really related to Alzheimer's disease, as is IBS. Don't eat gluten. That's the major thing with IBS and leaky gut. Sorry, I'm totally doing the ADD thing of answering questions while telling the story. So, bacteria in your mouth eat sugar. That creates acid that eats through your teeth, causes cavities. That's no bueno. Xylitol, when mouth bacteria eat xylitol, they can't process it. Think about it like you eating cement. We just can't process it. There's not a digestion of cement. It's just this block that's going to go through us. And so what happens is that the bacteria then fall off and slip off our teeth. They can't secrete the acid because they're not processing the sugar, and they then fall off our teeth. Really, really cool. So xylitol, great for the teeth. Interesting side note, in Europe, I don't know if this is still true, it was, in Europe, it was required that hard candy, so think rock candy, think like mints, think like stuff you would suck on, not chocolate, but hard candy, was required to be made with xylitol. And this is probably 5 or 10 years ago when I read about this. I don't know if that's still true. Probably is. This greatly reduces calories because instead of people sucking on sugar, which is just food for bad bacteria, it's inflammation for the brain, it's damaging the brain, it's damaging the body, it's diabetes, it's heart disease, it's all the bad things. Instead of doing that, you give kids xylitol mints. These are half the calories of regular sugar. It doesn't spike your insulin as much, and it protects your teeth. Big win. Big win. And it just costs the sugar companies, it just costs the candy companies a little more. I have this dream of making a healthy candy company where the candy is made with allulose, it's made with healthy sugars, and it's fortified with magnesium. Imagine if you got candy and it was just filled with vitamins and it tasted good. I really want to do that. I don't have the capital right now to invest in it because it's a real big deal. It's real hard to do. But wouldn't that be cool if you could buy candy and the candy's like healthy for you and it's like, oh my gosh, this has got more magnesium than broccoli. This is so cool. So in Europe, they were requiring people to use healthy sugar in order to do it. In America, this is how backwards we are. We have subsidies to grow sugar. We shouldn't be growing sugar in the United States. Do you know what we grow for sugar? We grow beets. We grow genetically modified beets. and then we process them in a way to get the refined sugar out. And that's subsidized. We're paying these people more than they should be making. We don't want to subsidize crops because what happens is we get inefficient use of our farmland. We want people growing the most high valued crops, which in all reality is hemp. Hemp is used, got it right here. By the way, get ready to buy this before it runs out. Favorite brand of hemp seeds, Nutiva. This is from Canada. Hemp seeds are great. They're a great balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. I'm not sponsored by this company. I've been buying Nutiva for years. Really good quality hemp and hemp seed oil. Hemp seed oil, great source of omega-3s as well. So hemp is super valuable as a crop because you can eat it. You can eat the seeds. It grows yearly. And it's great for, you can use the hemp fibers. You can use it for fabric. The Navy used to use hemp a lot for hemp rope. It's really durable fabric. You can weave it with cotton or silk to create softer fabrics. What else? Hemp is good for furniture, so you can take the hemp and make wood out of it. Also, it's good for reducing the amount of carbon dioxide from the air. What happens is a plant grows and a plant breathes in carbon dioxide and takes that CO2 and uses that to make plant material. And if you take that plant material, so instead of burning it, so when you burn wood, which is the same thing, it's taken CO2 and water and turn that into plant material. When you burn wood, what happens? It releases CO2 into the air. And so with hemp, if you take that plant that's captured a bunch of CO2, and then you turn it into furniture, you turn it into walls, you turn it into a house, you turn it into insulation, you're now taking CO2 from the air and you're turning it into something that's gonna be much more stable. Interesting side note, and this will upset some people, I learned this from Super Freakonomics. The number one source of carbon dioxide in the world is decaying forest. So old trees that fall over and then decay, they release CO2. Because what are they made of? They're made, like they were breathing in CO2 and that's how they were made. And so when forest decays, it releases CO2. That's the biggest cause of CO2 release in the world. Another big cause, this will also upset people, is industrial meat. Industrial meat, specifically industrial beef, is one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gases like CO2 and methane. Methane's really nasty. Reducing CO2 is not going to make that big of a difference based upon how nasty the molecule is. Methane and hydrofluorocarbons are really the worst. Methane is, that's cow farts, but methane is also natural gas. When we extract natural gas out of the earth, that is methane. Hydrofluorocarbons, you might not have heard of that. I got into this when I was living in Austin and I got into trying to remove fluoride from the water. Hydrofluorocarbons are the waste product of coal, of using coal for energy. Coal is the absolute worst. Coal excretes just terrible pollution, specifically the hydrofluorocarbons. The CO2 from coal, that doesn't matter, in my humble opinion. I'm not an environmentalist. I've read about this. My understanding is what's much worse from the coal is the hydrofluorocarbons, because those things are just terrible pollution. The CO2 is much less bad. And plants like the CO2. Nobody likes hydrofluorocarbons. Plants are going to breathe the CO2 and they're going to make plant material. Hydrofluorocarbons, really bad for our environment, really bad for our atmosphere, bad for us as humans, and bad for the plants and bad for the environment. So back to hemp. So we don't want to subsidize crops. We don't want American farmers growing beets for sugar, and we certainly don't want to pay them to do that. That's dumb. We also pay farmers to grow corn to then use that as alcohol for energy. That's totally inefficient. It's a total waste of time. And farm subsidies, I like farmers. I like the idea of someone growing something in the earth. I think that's beautiful. And I have a desire to grow crops myself. I've had some farms. I've lived on farms. I like my hands in dirt. By the way, there's great research to show, or not great research, excuse me. There are anecdotal stories of people who are sick and then they start gardening and getting their hands in the soil and they get healthier because they're connected to nature. So we want people growing crops that are of value to society based upon what we'll pay for. Hemp is one of the big winners, both food and energy. Oh, you can use hemp oil for energy. Talk about sustainable energy. You take the sunshine, you take the air, you take the CO2 from the air, and you take the water and you turn that into hemp. Turn the hemp seeds into hemp oil. That is energy. That is sustainable energy. So hopefully we start growing more of that as well. So that is my rant on hemp seeds. I like this company. I'm not sponsored by them. I think they're good. Let me know what question. Oh, brain fog. I promised we talk about brain fog. Let me get into that. So it depends on what's causing the brain fog. So one thing might be trouble breathing or trouble with oxygen. I'd recommend putting a strip of tape over your mouth when you sleep. I do this, and this improves your breathing while you sleep. Sleep is when our brain cleanses itself, something called the glymphatic system. Think lymphatic, but with a G. Glymphatic, that helps cleanse our brain as we sleep. And so that's really important. And when we breathe, when we sleep, our bodies are kind of paralyzed, and paralyzed in a good way to prevent us from like rolling around or hurting ourselves as we're sleeping, because we're not paying attention to where we're going. And so our muscles need less oxygen. That means more oxygen can get to your brain because our muscles don't need it. As we're moving around during the day, our muscles are using that oxygen for locomotion. But while we're sleeping, more of that oxygen can go to the brain to cleanse it out and nourish it. So number one, if you have brain fog, I'd recommend improving your breathing while you sleep. Put a tape of Scotch tape over your mouth, and that will help improve breathing. Watch YouTube videos on this. There's great YouTube videos on this. I've been doing this for 1.5 years. It took me about a month to get used to, which is longer than most. It is much more, usually it's about 1 to 2 weeks. And so just try that. It's really worth it. I also wake up with less of a sore throat. I used to wake up with sore throats because I was mouth breathing. And the air was going in my throat, drying out my throat. I also don't wake up with dry mouth. That's really great too. So I really recommend doing that. Other things for brain fog, I would start with the basics. Get sunshine first thing in the morning as soon as you wake up. This is again from Dr. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist at Stanford, Huberman Lab podcast, great podcast. Get outside, ideally within an hour, even better, within 30 minutes of waking up. Get sunshine. If you live in a dark spot, you might need to be outside for longer. If you wake up before the sun rises, you can turn on overhead lights. You can shine a flashlight in your eyes. I've done that. It's not pleasant, but I think it kind of works. But overhead lights, like what I have overhead me, is really helpful. By the way, you don't want those on at night. So after this is over, I'm going to turn those off because that simulates the sun. Overhead light is like the sun, right? When else did we have overhead lights in our evolutionary history? Only from the sun. We didn't have skylights and so forth when we were hunter-gatherers. So I'd get more sunlight first thing in the morning. And B vitamins. A lot of people with brain fog have B vitamin problems. If you've recently had long haul virus, you might want to specifically address that. One thing to do for that, I don't have a free. Underneath my profile is a link to a free masterclass by Dr. Linnell King, really handsome doctor from Johns Hopkins, great guy. And you can watch this masterclass for free. That's under my profile, and just sign up there if you want to. I don't have a relationship with him. I just like what he's doing, and people keep asking me about long haul virus and brain fog, and so I want to give you that information. It's called the Back to 100 masterclass, as in get yourself back to 100s. This is for people who've had long haul virus. So check that out. The link is below my profile. You can also search Back to 100 Masterclass. It doesn't show up on Google. I think it's back to 100, the number 100.com if you want that free masterclass. Also, I would recommend getting more sunshine. Take a B complex vitamin, D. Take vitamin D. If you have brain fog, try 5,000 to 10,000 IU. Research from San Diego State says that up to 10,000 IU is safe. Don't take more than that. Take it with some fat to increase absorption. You can also get 20 to 30 minutes of sunlight a day. So Dave Asprey recommends doing this naked. Make sure you don't get caught naked unless you want to get caught, but that might not be pleasant with neighbors, or certainly if there's children around, if you're in public. So try to cover up what needs to be covered up. Get as much sunshine on as much as your body as you can during peak sun hours between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. That's peak sun hours, and only do 20 minutes. More than that, you risk being sunburned. If you have darker skin, you can handle more, and you might want more. I have moderate skin. I can handle 20 minutes out there. More than that, I live in Colorado. The sunshine is really strong here because there's less atmosphere, because we're higher, and so there's less atmosphere reflecting it. At sea level, I could be outside longer without being sunburned, but I get sunburned more easily here in Colorado. A woman I was dating, she's from Maine. She's very pale. She got sunburned right away. But depending on your skin tone, you can handle more time outside. So I'd increase your sunshine. I'd increase sunshine specifically in the morning, and vitamin D and B complex vitamins. I'd also try removing unhealthy foods. I've mentioned a number of unhealthy foods. The documentary, I think it's called The Ideal Food for Humans. It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's really good. Just search Ideal Food Humans documentary. And so what happens is that if you're eating bad food, that can cause brain fog as well. So it's really problematic. So avoid the sugars. I get brain fog if I eat sugar. If you give me sugar and gluten, I become a much less smart person. Like really, I get taken down a notch. Even if I just eat a bunch of food, if I fill my stomach up with food, I'm like lethargic and logy. I'm like, that today we're going to talk about the brain, and the brain is good. So I get like that. I'm like this because I've been activated all day. I'm eating my healthy desserts. This is my potatoes. This is my sweet potato skins and my maple syrup and my coconut oil with a little bit of salt. That rocks as a dessert. I'm ready to go. So try that with brain fog. Is get more sunshine, vitamin D, vitamin B, a B complex. Get the whole B complex. You might want to take a lot. I've heard that big doses of B vitamins can be helpful with people with depression, potentially with brain fog. Check with your medical doctor if you're going to take a really elevated dose of B vitamins. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water and then be eating healthy foods and then get some exercise. Moderate exercise. Don't be pushing yourself. We find with the recovery from brain fog, if we push too much exercise, that's too much. Get a little exercise. Do some walking. Do some things to get your heart rate up a little bit. Maybe walking after dinner, and then make sure you're getting really good sleep. Give that a shot for brain fog, and don't push yourself too hard. The challenge is that we live in this society. It's amazing. It's amazing we can spend a day and say, I didn't feel that productive. If you compare what humans could do 1,000 years ago, I mean, a washing machine saves us so much time. It used to be a full-time job of people in the tribe or people in the home, usually a wife or a daughter, usually a woman, to wash the clothes of the family. That's a full-time thing. You got to get the washboard. Remember washboards? Used to play it in the hillbilly band, the washboard. But they used to take that. They used to wash clothes. They used to go into the stream, take your clothes, take the washboard, and go like this for a long time, and then do that with another piece of clothing. And then you need to hang it up and have it dried. Now we have this done by machines. It takes 10 minutes. Imagine how much more productive we can be. And so we have all this, I would call it false pressure on us to get so much done. And I'm my worst critic in this. I think I don't get that much done, and I'm really trying my best, and I keep on wanting to do more and more and more, reach more people, and help more people. And I'm able to do more now than I ever could, even just 10 years ago. I mean, TikTok's a great example. I'm able to reach hundreds of people, thousands of people a night from my own home, talking about these things and interact with you. This is amazing. Technology has made us so effective and so productive. And you can sit in your home and you can learn these things, or you can go to YouTube and you can check out a documentary. You can turn on Spotify or YouTube and listen to Mozart. And you can listen to Mozart played by geniuses. You can listen to Mozart played by Yo-Yo Ma, the world's greatest cellist, for free. This is available to us with our technology. We can be so productive. And when we don't feel good, we don't feel productive, and we're just being hard on ourselves. Frankly, if you have a good day, meaning you ate healthy food, you treated people nicely, you did something productive, and you took care of yourself, and you acted in alignment with your values, whatever your values are, that's a good day. Even if you don't get a ton done, if you took care of your body, and you acted in alignment with your values, and you treated other people with love and respect, that's a good day. I want you to honor yourself and thank yourself for living a good day. Even if you didn't do all the things you said you would. I make a crazy to-do list. I'm like, I'm going to make 10 videos. I'm going to write 2/3 of my book. I'm going to have 10 business calls. I'm going to do all this, and I'm going to do all this before noon. It's crazy what I think I can do. And so this kind of pressure on ourselves to be super productive is not helpful. So please, 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 I've learned more on TikTok than I ever have learned in school. That's amazing. I hope you're watching some good channels. So this is really, really important. Let's take the pressure off of ourselves to be so productive, thinking, look, we don't even have to hunt and gather food. We go to the grocery store. You can spend, let's say, $100 on food and feed a family of 6 for the night. $100, that's a couple hours of wages, depending on what your job is. It might be 1 hour, it might be 20 minutes, it might be 3 hours. But you can feed a whole family of 6 for 3 hours of work. It used to take a whole day of hunting and gathering and then a whole day of cooking to be able to feed those people. Amazing. And so I want you just to acknowledge how wonderful it is to be alive now. We can eat for just several hours of work when it used to take all day. And we can store value in the terms of knowledge. And we have great access to previous knowledge and previous, we'll say, art, like music. Also, you can look at the Mona Lisa from your home right now. If you want to, you can just pull it up. It's just amazing. So let's be grateful for the amazing technology that we have right now that allows us to live these rich lives and has taken away a lot of labor that we don't want to do, like washing clothes. Interestingly, we've lost something. This is not good or bad. It just is. We've lost something by not having women basically go down to the stream and wash clothes. They used to be socializing for them. There was and some of them liked it. It was a nice time away from the men, away from the children, where they could just do work that's important for the families and not be stressed, and they get to socialize. There's a movie I watched with Tina Fey. I don't remember what it was called. And they went into Afghanistan and they tried to bring a water well into this town. And the water well kept being blown up. And they're trying to see who's doing this. We're trying to help these people, bring them water. Really nice thing to do, right? Water. By the way, the range of vitamin D, you're asking, is 5,000 to 10,000 IU. 10,000 is the max. Start with 5,000 IU a day. That's a recommendation from Dr. Stephen Gundry. Of course, check with your medical doctor. So why was this Afghan tribe, this town, blowing up the well? Well, they brought Tina Fey into the room, a bunch of women did, and they say, we women are doing this. Why? Because we want to go down to the stream and collect the water every day. That's our time. That's our time as women to take off our veils. That's our time to socialize. That's our time to talk about the men. That's our time to talk about whatever we want to talk about away from the men, down at the stream, away from the children. So the women didn't want this technology because it took away this part of their lives. I watched a documentary about this town in Africa. Basically, they send the children out every morning to go walk for 2 to 4 hours, get water, and then walk back to town. That's a whole day. They spend their whole day walking. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. It's probably beautiful in some ways. A human being gets to spend their life walking and enjoying the outside nature. That's probably really just a wonderful thing. And in other ways, it takes away their ability to learn, to be in school. Not that they're not learning while they're walking. If they were listening to podcasts, that would be interesting, right? It takes away their ability to be in school, and it requires a lot of effort just to live in this town. And so when technology replaces things like washing clothes, there's trade-offs of it. I just want to acknowledge them. It's not good or bad. It's good for me because I don't want to spend my day washing clothes. I want to spend my day learning, reading science, and then spending it on TikTok with you, sharing what I learned, so that way you can live a healthier life. And so these technologies have trade-offs. I just think it's interesting to acknowledge. But how do we know he's a doctor? I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. If you want to read about my history, my education, my background, go to bettermemorysystem.com/research. That will tell you about my history, and I hope that is helpful to you. So anything else before we go? I answered the questions on brain fog, on inflammation. I'd love to answer an ADHD question. Thank you so much for your information, Light. You're so welcome. Need to learn how to balance what? People kept asking about fluoride. So here's what I know about fluoride. So when I was in Austin, I was in graduate school at the University of Texas, I got really into removing fluoride from the water. I watched a couple documentaries. There's a great book, The Fluoride Deception. I forget the name of the author. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. He did a bunch of research to show how the fluoride research about how water fluoridation is good for your teeth is a sham. There's a ton of research about how fluoride is damaging to our brains and bodies. First of all, fluoride gets into our teeth and bones. In our teeth, it causes dental fluorosis. Have you seen those people with like the brown spots in their teeth, or like the spotting, the mottling? It's called mottling on the teeth. Have you seen that? That's from ingesting too much fluoride, and that messes up the tooth development. That's a problem. Fluoride also gets into the bones. If you look at factory workers who worked in aluminum plants, fluoride was involved in the smelting of aluminum. I don't know what smelting is. I think it's the making of aluminum, but fluoride's involved in the aluminum making process. Those workers, if you see pictures of them, you see this terrible bone health. These men have osteoporosis because of the fluoride has gotten into their bones and weakened them. So fluoride is really, really damaging to the brains and to our bodies. Now, is it damaging to our brains? First, in infants, be very, very careful giving infants tap water. I don't recommend that. I recommend breast milk. Breast milk is the safest food for children, for infants, because it's designed by Mother Nature. What could be better? So this is interesting. In breast milk is reduced something like 98.9% or 99.2%. It's reduced almost completely in breast milk. That means the mother's body is filtering out fluoride from the water so it doesn't get to the baby. Why? Well, this is really important. The mother's body is filtering out the fluoride because Mother Nature knows we don't want babies getting fluoride. The blood-brain barrier is not fully formed until at least 6 months of age. and stuff can still cross it. But if the blood-brain barrier isn't formed, the fluoride can get into the brain, and that can harm the brain. So you really don't want to give fluoride to infants and young children because it could cross the blood-brain barrier. That's a real problem. At least 6 months is when the blood-brain barrier forms. So be really careful there. And so does fluoride, when I drink fluoride, does that impact my brain? Well, it impacts it in other ways. First, it messes with thyroid. You probably know someone who has hypothyroidism. That is a reduction of thyroid function. Maybe you have it. My sister had thyroid issues. A dear friend of mine had Hashimoto's in Austin. Her name was Dr. Laura Presley. She ran for city council a couple times. So fluoride basically replaces iodine in your thyroid, and that impairs iodine function. That affects your brain. Your hormones affect your brain. Remember, decrease in testosterone reduces memory, and poor thyroid function also impairs brain function. Thyroid is what's called a trophic factor. It's a growth factor in the brain. If you don't have healthy levels of thyroid hormones, healthy levels of vitamin D, healthy levels of choline, your brain doesn't have the nutrients it needs to grow. So it's a growth factor in the brain. So fluoride affects the brain, certainly through the thyroid. The question is, does fluoride cross the blood-brain barrier in adults, and does that cause Alzheimer's disease? That's a great question. I don't know if we have an answer to that. I don't know. I'd like to say yes because I really don't like fluoride in the water and I want to have as many reasons as possible to take it out, but I don't know. I haven't seen that data. And so I don't know. If you find data that's really compelling, please let me know and I'll look at it and I'll read it and I'll evaluate it. But as of right now, there's not a clear answer that fluoride does or does not contribute to Alzheimer's disease. My bet it does through the thyroid, because messed up thyroid definitely impairs brain function. That increases the risk of thyroid disease, but we don't know if fluoride directly outside of the thyroid hormone would affect that. So that's what I got for you on fluoride. This has been so fun. I love you. You are my favorite people. I want to commend you for spending your evening with us here tonight. Here, before we go, please let me know. I'll mention some nootropics. Please let me know what you learned and what you're going to do. It's my favorite part while you're, and I'm going to read them off. So please let me know what you learned and what you're going to do with it. I want to know that you are taking this and you're doing really good things with it. So please put that in the chat. And then if this has been helpful to you, I invite you to help be one of my supporters on Patreon. Become a patron. With your financial support, I can keep doing this and spend more time learning the research, reading the research, and then sharing it with you, and ideally not needing sponsors or not needing, hopefully not needing sponsors that I don't like. I wouldn't do that anyway, but this is really helpful. So if you want to help support the show, just a couple dollars a month makes sense, or just a couple dollars a month makes a difference. Yes, these are recorded. Please go underneath my profile, and you can go to Patreon. You can also go to patreon.com/RobertWBLove, and just anything helps. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your support, and I appreciate you being here. So we got Mother's Milk. We got Sardines. Truth About Cancer. That is a good documentary. I know the filmmaker. He's a good person. Fluoride affecting the thyroid. Great. Limit sugar. Limit gluten. Excellent. Great, Chaucitos. Please put your first name and what you learned and what action you're going to take. You bought curcumin with black pepper. Good work, Bethany. Good work, Bethany. Thank you, 5 to 10 IUD for vitamin D. Very good, BBGG. Nootropics, please. My favorite nootropic is aniracetam. It's hard to find. I like taking L-tyrosine with L-theanine and coffee. That's really fun. Huperzine A is great as a standalone nootropic. Also, I like alpha-GPC as a choline precursor. I take that with my aniracetam. Bee pollen. I didn't mention bee pollen. What are you doing with bee pollen? What else have you learned? Gluten causes diabetes. Gluten does not cause diabetes. Refined sugar does, and wheat can contribute to type 2 diabetes. Okay, what else have you learned? What else are you going to do? So I keep getting this question about echinacea. Please let me know what you learned and what you're up to. What do you got? Information about xylitol. Great. Gluten causes inflammation. Great. I'm not answering your question about echinacea. I've just seen it too many times. I'm sorry. It's annoying to me at this point. Fluoride is damaging to the brain. It is for certain infants. We don't know if it gets there for adults. You bought MCT oil. Great. Gluten causes leaky gut particles in the bloodstream. Yes. You got it. You got it, Green Sunlight. Share that with others so that way they understand it. Depot doesn't have aniracetam. I know. It's hard to find. MCT oil in my coffee. Great. Fish oil. Great. Ashley. I'm sorry, I couldn't read it. Remove gluten. Great. Taking vitamins. Recommend B12? No, take a B complex instead. B complex, much better than B12. Espresso, worse or better than brewed coffee? Brewed coffee, I think, has the highest amount of antioxidants, but take what you like. Julia, negative impact on of thyroid function from fluoride. Great. Leaky gut related to gluten tolerance. Yes. What about NMN? NMN is great. Nicotinamide mononucleotide. It slows down, it accelerates the repair of DNA by increasing NAD. Okay, great. Hemp seed is much better. Yes, great. I love it. Great job taking action. Oh, who's going to do the hugs? How many people are going to try to get 7 hugs in the next 24 hours? Were you on for that? That was earlier. So doctors recommend we get 7 30-second hugs to increase oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. We release it, or mothers release it when they're breastfeeding, and also it's released during sex and during physical touch, and when we feel loved. Who's going to get 7 hugs? Cheryl Lynn's going to get 7 hugs. Who else is going to get 7 hugs? I want to hear back from you tomorrow. Any recommendations for ADHD? Yes, Giselle. I have a number of different videos on ADHD. If you look at them, I recommend aniracetam and L-tyrosine for ADHD and exercise. Me, Bethany. Me, Callie Leakey. Lee, great. Mom doing detail. Yes. Someone else is going to get 7 hugs. Who else was this? David's going to get 7 hugs. Hugs for sure. Me, Blue Power 90. Excellent. Julie Mance is getting 7 hugs. Excellent. Please do it. 30 seconds. You can also time it 2 deep breaths. Try to breathe together. Say, hey, can we do a hug? Can we do a long hug? I like to ask permission to do a long hug and then say, hey, can we breathe together? And then that makes a really, really big difference. Have fun with it. And then please come on tomorrow. Let me know how it goes. Awesome. Okay, so we reviewed what we learned. We got people committed to doing hugs. And then please subscribe to the YouTube station. I'm moving this week. And next week, I'm going to start posting these full mostly unedited videos onto YouTube. So you can watch the whole thing. You can listen to my rants, go from wheat and the sugar subsidies to hemp seed to ADHD. So we can all go to that. I need your help. Well, I'm glad you're here. You're in the right place, Sab Ismail. And so please subscribe to the YouTube station. That's underneath my profile as well. It's also Robert W.B. Love at YouTube. You should write a book. I'm working on it. I just recorded a masterclass today. I was in the studio from 11 until 5:30. So I was recording a lot, and I'm going to take a lot of that content and see how I can turn that into a book that's most helpful to you. So I really appreciate that. So I'm going to get the book out to you, but really there's so much information. I couldn't even share all the stuff I wanted to in the masterclass. I ran out of room. I need to make bonus videos for it, and I'll make probably bonus TikTok videos so that way you can get those. And I'm really trying to share the best stuff that I'm putting in the masterclass. I'm trying to share that in my TikTok videos. So look for that. And then if you want specific TikTok videos, please comment. Phoenix, do I do private sessions? I work specifically with people who want to improve their memory and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And so if you are losing your memory or you really want to prevent it, that's who I work with. I work with people who really want, I'll say, a lot of help, because I work pretty hands-on with people and we really make a big difference. I don't just do consulting where, hey, let me talk to you for an hour and let me help you out. At some point, we might do that. Would that be cool to do on the lives where I jump on a call with someone and then I learn what's happening for them and I give them some recommendations? Let me know if that would be good. Put in the chat if I should start doing, if I could start doing some kind of live consults on the air, if that would be helpful. Let me know, would that be good? Getting a lot of yeses. Yeah, yes, Mom is starting. I'm sorry to hear that. Please, yes. Okay, now if you do this, that means you got to come on and you got to be honest with me and tell me what's going on, and then let me see if I can help. So let's try that tomorrow. And so I think I'm going to come on, what's tomorrow, Thursday? Oh, I have a date tomorrow night. I'm leaving town. This is the last time I'm going to see this girl. So I don't know when we're going to do this next. We might do this late Thursday, or we might do this Friday. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you because I don't know how my tomorrow night is going to turn out. She might leave early just right after dinner, and so I might come here and do this with you. So just check it out. So the next time I do a live, I will do some live calls, and we'll see how that goes, and that'll be fun. So we'll do that. Good luck on my date. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is someone I've been in a relationship with on and off over 2 years, and the last time I'm going to see her before I move to Florida, and so we'll see what happens. Excellent. Yes to live calls. Outstanding. Okay, lucky girl. Thank you, Lucy Marie. I hope she thinks so too. I'm about as crazy in real life as I am here, and so that gets that can be a little tiring for some people. Most people can't match my energy level, and so I'm exhausting for some people, and so we're not a good fit. So they really got to deal with all my craziness, all my energy. Okay, good luck moving to Florida. Thank you. Consulting for kids, that's interesting. What we might do, if there's enough interest for that, I might do a mastermind just for adults with children, and so how to improve your health and help your children. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. Children's health is a little too specialized, and so it's going to require, I know the basics of things that are helpful for humans and healthy for adults. I don't know what's healthy for kids specific to adults. And so me doing consulting for that is not going to be helpful. That's not my area of expertise. My expertise is much more in healthy adults and then in geriatrics, people facing Alzheimer's disease and dementia and Parkinson's disease. That's much more, hey, you're taking B complex and fish oil. Good for you. So I'm sorry, doing consulting for children. I can talk to parents about ADHD. That's the best I can do. But specific things about children's health, I'm not qualified for that. I'm not a pediatrician. I'm not an expert in children's health. I'm not an expert in health, period. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm focused on the brain, and I specialize with Alzheimer's disease. So thank you for that. But I want to stay in what I do best. And also, I'm thinking about getting a mastermind together of adults who want to optimize your health. And so if you want to optimize your health and reduce your risk of Alzheimer's disease, so these are people probably between the ages of 35 and 55, 60 who want to improve your health, optimize your brain function, and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. We'll probably be coming out with a mastermind soon where we get together on a regular basis. Smaller groups than this. So this is between 300 and 500 people. It's hard to reach you when I'm doing this. And so it'll be smaller people, something like 55, and then we can get together and talk about things that are relevant to your health, and I can answer your questions, and we can have more of a relationship. And so that's probably coming up soon. I'll let you know more about that when I move. The Patreon just launched. If you want to help support what I'm doing here for just a couple bucks a month, that's available too. And I love you so much. It's so wonderful being here with you. I so enjoy this. It's really great. So many blessings to you, and I will see you tomorrow. And I'm just going to keep reading some of the comments here. Bye-bye. Thanks for your time. You're welcome, Professor. You're welcome, Maria. Taping my lips tonight. Good work. Shilajit increases fulvic acid, and that prevents the accumulation of tau tangles in the brain. So I think that's what it is. Julia, if you want to learn more about me and my education, go to www.bettermemorysystem.com/research. You can read all about my education, my history. Thank you for the valuable information. You're welcome. You're welcome, Vanessa. Great info. You're welcome. Thank you so much. You're welcome. What is my zodiac sign? I am a Taurus moon, a Virgo sun, and a Libra rising. Talk about cerebrolysin. I'm going to have to do some research on that, crypto friend. I don't know much about that. Stevia and monk fruit sugar or honey? I prefer stevia and monk fruit sugar over honey. They don't spike insulin. Am I going to have a practice here? What do you mean by that? Any recommendations on autism? Yes. Get the diet clean. Remove gluten, potentially remove dairy, get them eating really clean, good food. Give a masterclass nightly. I give a masterclass nightly. Thank you, Scoop. It's a little bit free-flowing masterclass. Thank you. Ashwagandha. Yes, I saw this. I wanted to answer you. Sorry, Voltafish. Ashwagandha shows benefit to people in improving memory. I think it was a 3-month study. I personally don't do well with ashwagandha. I don't like the way it feels. And so I think it's good for some people. I think it does improve memory. It's not my go-to supplement, and some people really like it. Andrew Huberman, I think, recently did some work on ashwagandha. Check that out. He also did one recently on cannabis, on marijuana. Check that out as well. I do not like aspirin. I don't think it's a good idea to take an over-the-counter drug. Over-the-counter drugs are different than supplements. Over-the-counter drugs are actually pretty highly regulated. Tylenol is pretty regulated. You can't just sell that anywhere. Supplements you can sell pretty much most places. I think it's a bad idea to take an over-the-counter drug over long periods of time. I forget the reasons why, specifically Tylenol and aspirin. I think they interfere with gut bacteria. I don't exactly remember, but I don't think it's a good idea. Recommendations on heart palpitations. Yeah, first lose weight. Losing weight helps with atrial fibrillation. I don't know if it helps with heart palpitations. I'm guessing it does. I'd also clean up your diet, reduce your stress. If you're drinking caffeine, that doesn't help. You might want to stop that. I'd also work with a functional medicine doctor who specializes in this. That's really, really important. Huntington's disease. Yeah, we talked about that last night. B-complex is actually really helpful. And I think selenium to help with glutathione, I think that was part of it. I don't remember all the things for Huntington's disease. I know B-complex is one of them. And I think CoQ10. I think coenzyme Q10 was helpful for Huntington's disease. Double check me on that. Thank you. You're welcome, Chicago Hustler. Recommendations on brain fog. Yeah, watch the replay. We went into brain fog for a while. Memory supplements. I have a ton of videos on memory supplements, and I do it much faster and much better than I will live. So check out just almost any of my videos. Almost every one of them has a supplement in it that I recommend to improve memory and brain health. You're welcome, Dino. Am I Christian? I was born and raised Catholic, and now I consider myself more worldly spiritual. I do go to church when I go home to see my family because I enjoy doing that with my family. I don't go to church on my own. I do pray on a regular basis. I say grace most evenings. Dr. David Perlmutter is in Florida. Really, I should say hi to him. Where did I go to school? Morgan Jane, if you've asked this before, I'm going to say it one more time, and then I'm going to be slightly annoyed. I don't want to say I'm going to be slightly annoyed. I'm just going to ignore you. If you want to hear about my educational background, go to www.bettermemorysystem.com/research. That will tell you my history in detail. I don't want to go into it on the call. I've done it a couple times. It just takes a while. What do I do for work? I do this. I'm a neuroscientist. I specialize in helping people prevent Alzheimer's disease with science. I do research. I'm running a memory study right now in Huperzine A. I work directly with clients, and I educate people. Just finished a masterclass I'm going to be offering soon. Best place to get supplements. Search your favorite online store. That's often the fastest, cheapest, easiest way to get it. Thoughts on melatonin. Don't give it to kids. I take it most nights. It's anti-cancer. I really like it. Check with your medical doctor. A lot of people disagree with me on melatonin. I think it's great for anti-cancer, and that's a big bet that I'm taking. I take melatonin most nights. Need help with my memory? You're in the right place. Watch some videos, take some actions. Do I work for a university? No, I work for my own private company. It's called Brain Fit for Life, LLC. Recommendations for vegetarians and vegans. B-complex. Take a B-complex. You can't get B12 from a plant source naturally. You need a B-complex. That's just much easier. It's much easier to do. So make sure you supplement. Also get algae oil. It's hard to get omega-3s as a vegan. Take some algae oil or take hemp seed oil or flaxseed oil. Favorite character in the Bible? I really like Abraham because Abraham, he really went through a lot. He really earned his success. Also love Jesus. I mean, the messages of Jesus. Forget whether or not you think Jesus is God or Jesus was just, a prophet. Jesus had great messages, great stories, great teacher. Love Jesus. Diabetes. I need a question if I'm going to answer you, Ahmed. How does an elderly person develop seizures? I don't know. There could be a variety of causes of seizures. There's something called general. I just won't go into it. I'm not an expert in seizures. I don't know what causes seizures in most people. Is my company a research firm? We have a research arm, so we do research. If that answers your question, we also do other things. I'm working on a supplement. For example, I'm working on a lion's mane supplement. It's not out yet. I'll let you know when it is. Lion's mane, I think, is one of the best supplements for reducing the risk of Alzheimer's disease. So we're working on that. I also create programs that I sell. So we're also an education company, and I also do coaching, one-on-one coaching with people as well. So my company does all of these things. You love how passionate I am about teaching. Thank you so much, Francesca. I'm going to end on that. That's just such a wonderful message. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. I love you. God bless you. See you tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after. Bye-bye.